Hey guys, welcome back. So I just went through and talked about our objectives and how we met them. Um, with how our project went, everything went according to plan. I had access to all the supplies that I needed to equip my team well. Was able to provide some food and breakfast for them. Was able to provide the clear instructions that they needed to be able to accomplish their task. And we had a great day for it. It was a warmer day in the wintertime and full sunny blue skies, and leading up to it, it was dry, which meant that all of the trash, all the paper products and everything like that were dry and just very easy to pick up. And that helped us out a lot. It allowed us to pick up more trash in a shorter amount of time. So in terms of issues, there was an issue with a potential member of our team that wasn't able to make it because of a COVID exposure and catching COVID. But they, after the fact, they're doing well. So that, while it was an issue, was a praise too. So looking at my team and just their abilities, and how I was able to work with them as a leader, the skills that I had and my experience of doing this already was really helpful. Helped me kind of know on the front side all the supplies that I would need, kind of any warnings or hazards that might be in the way. And having that experience allowed me to, I think, do it in a pretty seamless way. I didn't really forget anything that they needed during the process. The effectively communicating our goal was really big. Of just the two vision statements that I provided in the previous video. The frequent reinforcement of just encouraging them while we were out, engaging with them as they had questions, and talked about some of the things that came up, like when I was working with my brother and there was that one house that had more trash than the rest of it. Just talking and engaging with him on that was helpful. And just the buy-in, I think, for the people that lived in the neighborhood, they had much more of it was easier for them to be convinced of helping out and having that initial buy-in. Whereas the other students that I worked with, it wasn't hard, but it just took a little bit more conversation. The external leadership skills of just conveying a positive attitude the whole time was really good. It made it where it was a little challenging not being able to be with everyone, as we were split up in our different groups for social distancing. But when we did everyone filled up their trash bags and met back at the truck where we loaded them all up. Just using that as an opportunity to encourage and ask anyone if they needed anything, offer water, and just allow it to go smoothly was a good thing. The listening to outside perspectives was also crucial, as there was a neighbor who wanted to come out and thank us. He looked like he was packaging up some furniture. I wasn't sure if he was moving in or moving out, but he said he's been in the area for a while. So it might have just been him selling something. I don't know, maybe helping a friend. But he was grateful for just cleaning up the trash. His block was one of the ones that had more trash on it, density-wise. So just having a thank you from a community member. I know we were some of us were outsiders coming in, so seeing that was met with something that was positive was encouraging to me. My leadership traits with the Strength Finder test that we took were restorative, adaptable, developer, and empathy. And I was able to use all of them in some way during this project. It was a simpler project, I think, in terms of the leadership aspect. But with restorative, I love seeking out projects that I've done before. Just the familiarity and knowing that everything's going to be okay was helpful for me. Also, just the being able to walk away from blocks that you clean up and there's not really any trash near the gutters and everything. It just is something that I enjoy. The adaptable part of it was the having some people that showed up late, just being really flexible time-wise with that, and being able to adapt the goals of just how much trash we wanted to collect. We were able to exceed that, and just halfway through again, having the adaptability and flexibility to be able to establish new goals and communicate them with my team members. Developer, just noticing the success of everyone, being able to encourage them, thank them for what they were doing, and yeah, like just as they were succeeding at what we were doing, helping them be able to have just the tools to be able to do more, and help direct them towards those tools, was part of that leadership trait. And then empathy, again, just not belittling the people that showed up late. And when I got there, I was initially going to work a little earlier than the rest of the group with Sam and Selah because they had plans in the afternoon or later in the morning. But when I got there, they were just getting up too. So just allowing everyone to be relaxed, not having it be some stressful thing, or like any sort of time restraint was good. With the team dynamics, Colton and Brandon are my siblings, so I had a prior relationship with them, and I had a pre-existing relationship with Sam and Selah. So working with them, I felt like the communication went really easily, and there was more frequent communication there. Whereas with Shai and Wyatt, they were people that I was meeting for the first time. And so there was a little less communication. It was more logistical communication than just side conversations. But I noticed that they were having a lot of side conversations with Colton and Brandon and other team members that they had already known. So I think just understanding, in this instance, working with new people, just allowing them to have the space and time to comfortably engage with other team members was positive. I didn't really pressure them into having a lot of interactions with me that were beyond just the logistical side of things. So the how I used my leadership skills to ensure that this project was successful was just the flexibility, having the wisdom that I've learned by doing neighborhood cleanups prior in Spokane, and knowing when it was appropriate to talk to community members, kind of finding that balance between talking to people as someone that's leading the project, but also engaging in the project itself. We read about in our books where it's really important for good leaders to not just do the management side of things, but to be the hands and feet and to be involved with what their staff is doing, whether it's going out onto the shop floor, or whatever environment it is, being willing to do all of the work that they're asking their helpers to do as well. So just made sure that I was doing both and balancing that okay. Sam and Selah, they both worked on some of the lower blocks with Colton and I, and then Wyatt, Shai, and Colt and Brandon worked on some of the upper lots. And then probably about halfway through, we switched. So Brandon went and he worked with me, and then Colton went back to his friend group and worked with them for a little bit. So that was good. I noticed the team dynamics. Sam and Selah, because they were familiar with the area, were a little bit more dynamic than Wyatt and Shai. But overall, it was a very simple, well-communicated task, and we all did that well. In terms of, I think I mentioned there is the neighbor. He was like around in his late 20s, that just expressed his gratitude for helping with the project. And Sam and Selah, they were both really grateful for the project as a whole, just as it was able to encourage them to get around their block a little bit more, and be empowered a little bit, just to focus more on just their property and help out their neighbors. So if I could do this project over again, I would probably ask everyone to double bag their trash bags, because they, even though I had from prior experience known that when you put glass into the trash bags, it cuts the bags up pretty bad, especially if you're like lugging them around the blocks for half an hour. But even though I'd advised everyone that would not be a good idea, they picked up the glass anyway, which is fine, because that's less glass that's out on the street. to injure or damage a tire, cause problems. But at the same aspect, it did cut up the bags pretty bad. And while it wasn't, everything was dry, there was a lot of water bottles and things that were like kind of leaking in the bags, that just already had liquid in them. So I'm not sure if it would be a better policy to like double up or just try and drain the bottles before you add them into the bags, or what would be more convenient. But I would probably try and seek some more, I guess, explicit directions as a leader to be able to express that. Like, hey, it's not a big deal, but it does help things turn out a little more smoothly. I would communicate this on a public platform. Most of everyone that helped with me were contacts that I had established. As in, I was the one that initially asked for their help on the project. So I think posting it on some sort of a social media platform, whether it was like Instagram or Facebook, making a Facebook event that people in the community could see, would increase a higher percentage of participation from people that live in the area that we were working in. And I think draw in a lot of people that would be willing to help out and grow and have that responsibility that I've been talking about during the whole presentation. I would say that a local dumpster is definitely optimum for throwing the trash away. I wouldn't try and use like personal trash cans or bins, just because it was a lot and it did fill up very quickly. We could probably, if we would have done twice the amount of blocks, we would have had to make multiple trips back to the dumpster with our truck. So, yeah, just kind of preemptively having an idea of how much trash you want to pick up. Maybe scouting the areas first to see what they look like would be good. We just kind of went into this a little blind, knowing that it was a need in this area, but not knowing to the extent, which I think is why I probably would have set a higher goal if I would have seen the area to begin with. So, I don't know, just all that to say everything went well. It was smooth, but that's one way that you could streamline it, help make it more effective, and in turn have it be a larger impact and have a larger team. I think would be really good. So, yeah, monitoring the weather, like I said, really important. Just making sure everything's dry. I wouldn't do this when it's a cold, wet, rainy day at all. And if we did, my contingency plan, if it was going to rain, was just to reschedule it to a different day. I think with this sort of event, you don't really have much of an option. So overall, just these are some photos from community cleanup events that I participated in when I was living in Spokane. I think leading an event in an area that I'm kind of new in was much different than being a neighborhood and like walking the same streets that my house is in, that I live in every day. So just that responsibility aspect of it as a community member to just be engaged in your community, to be active, and get out and meet your neighbors, I think is really valuable and important. It helped me at least open up. I started walking around more, biking more, definitely felt more safe and comfortable in the area. And I think that's a big component of our communities, is just being able to get out, be able to meet our neighbors, and just work with them as a team. I think a big aspect of this that we did then, and I tried to incorporate with this plan, was having breakfast beforehand. Just having fellowship over a meal is really important, I think, when you're working with groups. I think that's something that resonates well with just about everybody. And with that, if you are having a meal, just making sure that it's something that's accessible and inclusive to everyone, with whatever food that you pick for the option is good. So that's important to know beforehand. So with all that to say, thank you for watching. I know it's definitely filled up the 15-minute requirement window that I had for both of these videos with the software I was using, but thank you for your time and for your critical thoughts and your examinations. So I hope you have a good rest of your day, and bless you. Bye.